Welcome to Top of Mind, Florida. Thank you for watching and listening, and thank you for subscribing and leaving your comments. They've been very interesting. And I'd like to welcome our guest, Craig McInnis, a local artist who is absolutely fantastic, and he knows a lot about the art scene. And welcome, Craig.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it very much.
And looks way more dapper than we do.
Exactly.
These artists always have the look. I love it. And show us the peach there that we'll talk about.
I was going to wear a bow tie. I was told that was not the thing to do here.
Thanks for being with us.
Exactly. So, Michael, lead the way.
The peach. Talk a little bit about the peach, the art scene in general. Obviously, we're going to want to talk about some of your work specifically, and you brought some of that today. But talk a little bit about the art scene. We had the pleasure of being at the peach recently, and if you at home in the Palm Beach County area or the Treasure Coast haven't been here, wonderful, wonderful place. Talk a little bit about all
Appreciate that. I'm glad we connected there too. It's a great place for connection. That's the key of the place. It's an art collective. It's a cultural hub at its core. It was created by Rodney Mayo, Subculture Group, who's mostly a restaurateur, and he owns a lot of businesses around town, all throughout Palm Beach County. And he always wanted to start an art collective, so he did. Mm-hmm. He pinned me for managing it. We had been co-collaborating for a while on works. The Peach is an art collective. A lot of people not necessarily sure what that is, but at its core, it is 6 studios. It's currently over at 11 artists, and we all collaborate to produce events and shows together. We also have the beauty of being able to go from studio to studio and work literally on art together. And if I'm stuck, I can walk next door and ask one of my cohorts, hey, what do you think? So there's this camaraderie and community that happens there that is very necessary. I never really realized how necessary it was because I always had kind of a solo studio leading up to this. With one exception. And so I was always on my own with my own little ideas, and having other people in the mix is great. And so it's that at a small level, and then it's that at a community level, because we invite other artists from around to come collaborate with us, throw their own solo show, be a vendor at our art walk, attend our events and seminars and workshops. So it's just it's a hub, and we're just adding spokes as the weeks and months go by.
You know, my son and my brother are artists. I can't draw a straight line without a ruler. I can't draw a straight line without a ruler. But I can remember one day when my son was 5, 6 years old, he drew a picture of Donald Duck. And the thing that struck me was that he had the stripes on the sleeve of Donald Duck. And it was I didn't know what to do. So I reached out to my brother, and he said, just buy him a bunch of art supplies and see what happens. Yeah. So did you draw Donald Duck when you were 5 years old? I mean, how did you know you were going to be an artist?
Not too dissimilar. Mom is an artist and still makes work. And I have some of her work hanging in my space, actually. And so I was watching her draw and giving her requests, like, please draw the Spider-Man or whatever it is. And I was bewildered by it, because she is to this day very good at like recreating and adding her twist to things. And that got me enamored. And then that married with the fact that I was pretty trash at most sports really helped. And I was like, the only time I got on base is if I leaned over the plate kind of thing. And I was the Don Baylor of Little League. There's a deep reference for you. And that's what got me there. And then a lot of good art teachers along the way, and other kids that were good at art that served as like mentors, even though we were the same age.
Where were your roots? You talk about mom. Where'd you grow up?
Connecticut.
Okay, and so you were watching at mom's side, and that just kept
Absolutely.
Growing. What
Absolutely.
Your first art kind of, was it outdoor scenes? Was it comic book stuff? What was it?
Good guess. Comic book stuff. What was it?
You mentioned Spider-Man. I was like, I'm all over it.
It was more comic strip, because I like how goofy that stuff was. Comic books were a little more realistic, in that everyone's anatomically human, and I like the fact that Snoopy or Calvin and Hobbes or these types of things were like weird little drawings of obviously human-esque things, but twisted and in some kind of way to make it a little more interesting. So I was drawn to that, and I still play in that realm because I love it, and you can twist reality, and that's key for me.
Did you go to formal training, or was it all informal training and learning from people like your mom? And what kind of took you on that arc from there to here and where you are today?
Formal training, but only for a couple of years. I escaped Connecticut, beautiful place, but there was no culture for the weird stuff that I was into, music and art-wise. So I came to Florida, South Florida, to go to the Art Institute in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. Did 2 years there for advertising design, and then quickly jumped out of that and joined a band and went on tour. So much to the dismay of my parents, like, didn't we just put you through school kind of thing? But
I am an artist with a band.
I just wanted to throw that in
So
there
you
because
were
it's a
the
funny
only guy
little
on
thing.
stage that was actually drawing while the band was playing?
Yeah, I was just ignoring what they were doing. And I was singing and doing all this other stuff, trying to be a rock star for a few years. But art was always playing in the background. I used it for the band and all that stuff. But the real answer is formal training. And then after that is all the kind of like School of Hard Knocks stuff. Getting out there, trying to be a muralist, trying to sell paintings, drawings, trying to find clients, a brief stint with graphic design, whatever it took, a lot of hustles. And to this day, it's still a lot of hustles. It's just a lot more focused. And now I have actual business acumen rather than being just a pinball bouncing around like I was out of school.
We're jealous. We're still looking for formal training.
Exactly, exactly. So what would you tell a 15-year-old artist?
I would tell them even the same thing I tell a 25-year-old and a 35-year-old is that you can make a living at art, and it doesn't have as much to do with whether or not your art is at this level. Levels are crazy to even think about because it doesn't matter. It's the business acumen, and that's what I didn't have. So I tumbled out of freelancing 2 or 3 times, and that was just because I didn't have my business chops up. Learning budgeting and all the basics, business 101 is what got me to finally be able to sustain it. And I think I want to get young artists to understand that this starving artist stigma is just complete nonsense. And you can be in a field that's more respected or whatever and still starve. You just if you don't have the follow through and your word isn't any good and that type of stuff, then you're not going to be good at any business. So just because it happens to be something that people view more as a hobby, I don't think that really weighs in. I don't think it weighs in at all. I think passion connected to it, no matter how it's labeled, is what's going to make it, coupled up with business, is what's going to make it successful.
Is the art scene in Palm Beach County and beyond, and of course for our viewers in the Treasure Coast and really beyond, how would you describe the overall health of the art scene? Certainly the Peach is helping inject much needed creativity and collaboration, but where are we with that? And what do you say to people about the art scene in South Florida and particularly here?
I think it's fantastic, and my perception of it, having been here 30 plus years now, is that it's still just a baby. It's still just a kind of an embryo. People see it thriving, and I'm not saying that it's not, but what I'm saying is the best part of the story is that it's the beginning of the story. So,
how so?
When I came out of art school, I wouldn't call an art scene existence even around here. There were artists, but there was no real clumping together. There was a show here and a show there, and it was still very traditional, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it didn't have the diversity that it has now. So I feel like right now the floodgates are opening for all forms of art. It almost doesn't matter if someone's a poet or a musician or a performer or a dancer or a painter. There's going to be some avenues for everyone to find, and I don't feel like it was that way before, and perhaps that's just perception of a younger artist looking for places and not being able to find them. But I'll circle back to say I think it's still relatively young, and that means that there's a lot of potential still. The ceiling is nowhere near us.
There's room for our stick figure art.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm very good at stick figures.
You guys, I know you got the business chops, so if we can get the art chops up, you guys got a future.
We're working with a great team with Comar. You talk about creative and artistic.
Is this going to be a third career for you, gentlemen?
Exactly.
I don't know if the Comar guys want to see our wonderful team of creative folks who help us put this podcast on. Oh my God. Speaking of art, talk specifically about your work at the Peach, kind of your motif, what you're doing. You brought some of your work. If you want to hold it up, tell us a little bit about your work specifically.
So I manage the Peach. So that's an honor for me, working with the collective and making sure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing. But in the time in between the managing and doing commercial work for people.
There we go. Keep that held up. So
I do my own work. I'm in a current series right now called Uncle Scam. I like to do, I prefer social commentary and satire and, like you said before, like we were talking about cartoon edged things, to try to find a way to cover topics that they're prickly, but if you put a little smile on the corner of the mouth of something, then it becomes a little more digestible. And perhaps it's idealistic, but unifying to some degree, even though everything political is so divisive. Perhaps if something has a little bit of humor in it, it can unify.
So what is this? What was your creative thought? What are we seeing? What were you trying to get across to the person looking at this?
This is born out of my disenfranchisement. Is that a word? In the voting scenario. I still vote. I begrudgingly vote sometimes. And this character is wearing purple to kind of represent wanting there to be more purple things on the ballots and kind of thing, and the dunce cap says vote on it, of kind of feeling like, man, I feel stupid going here and doing this. It almost feels like it's for naught. This is to represent redistricting, these lines here. This is money in politics. This is very, very disrespectful, but it's representing Uncle Sam as a kind of a Pinocchio character. So it's got a lot going on. He's tattered, he's got a little patch on here. The hat is beat up. So it's a deep well. We won't discuss this. This is a little bit on the R-rated thing. I think you can get where I'm going.
Yeah.
Not subtle. Subtlety is not one of my neighbors.
But do you keep it, though, where you could be on either side of the political spectrum and read a lot of commentary in that, given where we are? Do you try and kind of keep it that way?
I naturally,
or are you overtly, with your art, trying to take one side or the other?
No. I naturally come from the center. This is not a pander. I just am. I prefer to dance the line. It depends on what we're talking about, kind of thing.
Sure.
And so my art goes there as well, because and it's fine if someone is on one side, I think, and they're an artist. I think that's what their art should say. But this just happens to be true. And for me, the beauty of that is that I can easily have conversations with either side, because we're going to find common ground. And again, that's my unification process. Is I hope that these don't. It's fine if they ruffle feathers, but I don't want people to walk away thinking, man, that guy is such a fill in the blank or whatever. He's too left, he's too right, he's too whatever. I'm like, I'd like to find fairness and discussion inside of these things.
Before your arm falls off.
You want to see the other one?
What else do you have?
Another subtle one.
We'll put this gently here.
Thank you, sir. So upon the decommissioning of the penny, this one was born. It's the beginning of a series. I intend to do more. People said I should do all of the coins, but I think the decommissioning of the penny was symbolic to some degree, because I'm saying, is liberty being decommissioned, and is everything becoming obsolete that we once believed in or once was born?
Is that a devil or a pig, or Star Trek here, a Vulcan?
Nice. It's everything anyone wants to be. But yeah, it is kind of a pig character. I tend to repeat on themes as things, pigs are used to represent corporate greed sometimes and things like that. So, this is, again, very low-hanging fruit, no subtlety to it, just trying to make a statement and create conversations between people.
Great.
So,
that's a really great piece.
Having a fun time.
Way past our stick art.
Yeah.
No, we were at your gallery, and we absolutely loved it.
I appreciate that.
One of the things you and I always talk about, and even before we went on air, AI, and whether artists, starving or otherwise, glad to hear many are not, are going to be able to make it in this.
Well, from what I understand with AI, I will be a really great artist.
Piece of cake. Just say the words and boom.
How big a discussion is that in the art community?
It's a
about
huge
the
discussion.
Worries, the challenges.
Matter of fact, both these paintings are AI. It's a big discussion, and I would say
he's kidding for anybody who missed that.
Yeah, sorry, sarcasm.
Absolutely kidding.
The younger the artist, generally, I would say, the more poignant this is for them, right? Because they might be starting their career or just coming out of school, so it feels like there's already a blockade in the way, something that would stop them from thriving. I would argue that, and I tend to try to talk them off the ledge a little bit, and myself, in that if someone is going to straight up use AI or buy AI art instead of buying my painting, they were probably never my client. So if they're interested in buying an image because they're into butterflies and there's an AI art of butterflies, and they're only interested in the fact that it's an image of a butterfly, then that's one client. If they want the artist and the story and the soul and everything that goes into an actual piece of art, then that's a different client. And I find those to be two very demographics. Different demographics. You could say the difference between someone who buys only pop music when they go to the record store, or are they buying jazz, right? So if we become more of a niche, it seems like there's going to be less clients, but they're going to be the right clients. So this is part of my rhetoric of talking people off the ledge and being worried about it.
So the guy who can't draw a straight line without a ruler, if I got into an AI program and described something I wanted to see in a painting, and it created it for me, am I an artist?
By my definition, no. You're a creator. I mean, this is all semantics, but yeah, there's people out there calling themselves AI artists, but they're really just putting prompts in.
Ones and zeros rearranged.
Exactly. That really waters it down, and that is part of what people are concerned with too. And I do agree with that. But the art world is already watered down. The gallery model is all over the road. The social media model is all over. Everyone's an artist. Anyone who can scribble a couple things is an artist, kind of thing, as long as they've got the right management. And I'm generalizing, of course, but yeah, it's a slippery slope right now. But I think we'll make it through, because everything comes to a peak and then it comes down the other side. And I think this thing is peaking fast due to its ability to get so good at everything so fast. I think it's going to hit a fever pitch and then turn the other way and make authentic art even more valuable because of the massive ocean of AI schlock that can just be spit out in 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because you and I talk about this all the time, whether it's art, journalism, you name it, frankly.
True.
And I try and tell some students that I'm teaching, and sometimes as I'm saying it, I'm like, am I being naive? But I try to tell them that human component, the compassion, the heart, the creativity, the human experience you bring to it, hopefully there will still be an audience, a niche, hopefully a sizable one, that will still say, no, I want that. That means something to me. I don't know if we're all being naive. Who knows 50 years from now? What are your thoughts about that? I mean, we're at an interesting intersection here.
I don't want to use his name, because I don't know if he'd like me using his name, but the artist who for the longest time could only use his finger.
Yes.
So I wonder, somebody who's severely handicapped but has a mind that is very artistic, if they find tools like AI, is that sort of an exception?
That is a great exception, as a matter of fact, because that gentleman, he was already using digital tools to aid him along the way, and he's got a creative mind. But see, I think the difference is that there's a connection there still between that gentleman and what he's making. A non-creative using AI to make art, it takes that first step out of the mix. If someone cannot move their body, but they can still create with their mind, absolutely amazing. But it's got that first step in it. So I think that would be the defining factor.
How do we tell the difference?
When you see the work, you can.
Okay.
It's all about context.
Sure. But to that point, the art community and others are going to have to make sure that they market that difference. I mean, you're going to have to be better at marketing. This is the difference, and then you make the choice, because that's a great point. I mean, the truth is, if you saw our stick art, you'd know why we're saying it. We wouldn't necessarily know.
Sure.
So are you becoming better at creating that niche for yourself right now? So to Brian's point, people do know.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I am. I'm trying to figure it out. Again, I'm counting on the fact that it's going to be so watered down that it's just going to separate. The cream will rise to the top, kind of thing, and people will be searching for it. I liken it to the digital revolution of lettering. I learned how to hand letter in school, which dates me, right? But then right after that...
Don't get him started on lettering in cursive.
Oh, man. Right after that, the digital revolution came and typesetting came into play. And the fact that I could hand letter didn't matter. And it didn't matter for a good while. But then all of a sudden it did again, right? Because everything got so sterilized by the digital component that if I could go out and paint someone's logo on the side of their building by hand, they wanted that human touch, right? And I feel like this is a similar thing to that. Everything's going to get, AI art really does look a lot like itself already. And there's not a lot of people out there that paint exactly like me. And so I think that's going to separate what's what. But it is hard to tell. It definitely is hard to tell, because it's doing amazing work. Why wouldn't it? It's sourcing everything that has ever been painted or made.
Well, one of the great things about the Peach is, you can go from studio to studio to studio, and sometimes the artists are there doing the work.
Yeah.
So if I'm standing in your studio and you happen to be painting at that time, it's a whole new, for the viewer, it's a whole new sensory experience, because I'm not just looking at your work on the wall, I'm watching you create it. And you can go from studio to studio to studio.
Yeah, powerful.
And anybody who hasn't been to the Peach, I highly, highly recommend visiting the Peach. It's if you're into art at all, it's a fantastic place. And while the Norton and those other places are wonderful too, the ability to go to a place and actually watch artists work is fantastic.
And you have an eclectic, diverse group of artists there.
Yes.
Talk a little, first of all, for people who want to know, throughout our entire region, where is the Peach?
Oh, good.
Pitch the Peach a little bit more and talk a little bit more about that diversity, because I was very impressed with that. Some people who I think not to overstate it, came to what you're doing to the collective and found new life with their work.
Sure.
And also a very diverse group of artists, which I love.
That's very true.
Talk
That's
about all
very
that.
true.
First, where is it?
We're lucky to even have someone who's in the Norton collection as part of our collective. So the Peach is in West Palm Beach.
Yep.
It's on Georgia Avenue, 3950 Georgia. It's right under Southern Boulevard. I don't know if people know that Southern flies over something, but it flies over us. We're literally tucked under the bridge there. It's kind of cool, and it's got a little grit to it in a good way. It's like a hidden gem in that same way because it's tucked under the bridge. But so on the south end of West Palm Beach.
Some old firehouses.
It has an old carriage house that has been turned into a restaurant. It's really cool. Yeah. And then the building itself was an auto body shop. So it had
auto body.
It was one
when
big
I was there, I kept saying fire. Auto body.
It looks like, though. It has the big roll-ups.
Yeah.
It was turned into 6 separate bays. They got big, beautiful glass roll-up doors. And then there's a separate building where we do live music and gallery shows. And that also has big glass roll-up doors. So just we call it a campus, even though it's pretty small. We throw art walks and that kind of thing. Like I said, classes and workshops during the week. There's an artist talk. There's all kinds of stuff. There's something for everybody, artists and non-artists. And yes, I really want to emphasize the cool part for me even is that you can walk in and see work being made. And that's that connection. That's that niche that we're filling
with a very diverse group of artists.
Yeah, that was your point too. It goes from whatever the heck I'm doing, pop surreal, to some soul art. Right next door, you got Anthony and Eric Kyle. I say something a little more contemporary and street with Nick Albano. Victoria Monell does, like, I call it metaphysical, maybe like that. You go over to Scott, he calls his stuff soul doodles. And 5, you've got the No More Starving Artist Foundation, which is dedicated to making sure that everyone has a career in art and providing opportunities for people. And you got 3 artists in there, Jessica, Jose, and RG, very diverse. I could go on and on about all their styles.
Oh, sure.
And then last but not least is Cass, and she's a ceramic studio, and her stuff is fantastic.
You raise a good point. How do we make sure art is more accessible for those in all of our communities? The ability to have the training, formal and informal, necessary to make sure we keep that art diverse and bring diverse voices and youthful diverse voices to that art.
I think taking it to the streets is important. I've had the opportunity to do public murals, which I think is a great gateway. The fact that we have an art in public places scenario here in West Palm Beach and in Palm Beach County is great because not everybody finds museums and galleries accessible. Yeah. They are, but they have there's a barrier there, it seems, that people feel about it. And a collective is not, I'm in a bay, I'm in a garage, so to speak, so it's a little more accessible. And when the weather's nice, the bay's rolled right up so people can just waltz right in there, talk to an artist, learn more about the artist, let them tell you about the scene like we're talking right now. And it can inspire young people and then people who are just getting here realizing, there's a thriving art scene and here's some of the different places that you can check out.
Okay, here's a really tricky question.
Love it.
How in the world did you come up with the name The Peach?
Oh, that's Rodney's brainchild because it's on Georgia.
Okay.
It's really that simple.
The Georgia Peach. Okay.
That was it. And then I drew the little character that is up on our sign when I was doing some murals there. Before it was the Peach, he asked me to do some murals he's like, I want to let the neighborhood know that something artsy is coming. Yeah. This goes back to, I think, 2018. And while I was there, I knew the name was that. So I stuck a little peach over the door by the address.
I love it.
Just as a goof. And he's like, I want to put that on the sign, and then it just now it's tumbling down the hill.
In our remaining moments, paint the rest of the canvas for us. What are we missing? What else is top of mind? And what do you say to the community about the joys of and really the need to support our art community?
I think people innately know the fact that if you don't have art in your life, there's a piece missing. And some people maybe don't feel that way, but I think most will. And in order for it to continue, we have to make sure that there's funding for it. So it does become very quickly, not necessarily political, but definitely something that you got to do your civil duty and make sure that the people that you support that are running things know this. We've had cuts in funding from above now that have affected every single artist all the way down to people that are just starting out. It's affected our local entity, AKA the Cultural Council. So it really starts to take effect really quickly, and we have to push back against that and make sure that everything is thriving. Because it's coming from from an artist, so it sounds biased, but I think if there's not artists out here doing stuff, and doing what they love, then there's just a big chunk of our society missing out, and it becomes more and more homogenized as technology bears down. I think one of the first things that pokes holes back in so that the sunlight can come through all this technology is music and art and dance and poetry and all the other things that we get to do, that I'm blessed to do, grateful to do. And I hope people will come out. Supporting art doesn't mean coming out and buying expensive paintings and sculptures. It just means getting in the community, showing that you care about it, showing that someone coming in my gallery and having a fantastic conversation about this is worth a lot.
That's how I met you.
It's not just about the
knew him
money.
before, but that's how I met you.
Yeah, we had fantastic.
Pitch your own
conversation.
specific place. Pitch your own shop.
My own shop,
yeah, of course.
inside of the Peach.
Yeah.
It's just my name. It's just Craig. You'll see my name on the sign. There's a gallery when you first walk in, and then I actually work there, as you alluded to. I work there in the space as well, so I teach classes in that space. Honored to be there. It happened. It was very serendipitous. I was losing my space up in Northwood Village. Rodney, like I said, pinned me for the management job there, and the rest is history. Here we are.
Do you need 2 apprentice artists?
Are you guys expensive?
Well, once you see our artwork, you'll decide quickly.
I mean, don't worry. There's a lot of you can sweep the shop. There's light bulbs way up high.
Clean
You guys,
paintbrushes.
Exactly.
yeah, you guys good on ladders?
Final question or thought, my
Well,
friend?
first I just say, Cheryl and I are very proud to own a couple of pieces of your artwork,
appreciate
and
that very much.
it's displayed in our home, and it's fantastic. And I think that the art world is vitally important to us as a society,
Yeah.
and I encourage people to go to the Peach, see what's going
appreciate
on.
Thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, gentlemen.
Craig McInnis with the Peach.